Hey everybody, Future Patrick here. I just wanted to let you know that this very special episode of the podcast had an error with Patrick's microphone. I've done what I can to repair it in post, but Patrick's going to be a little bit quieter than the rest of the group. I hope you enjoy, and thank you for listening.
Recent foray into anime was
Well,
watching all of Evangelion. And
what did you think of Evangelion?
I mean,
Well, who's best
I
girl,
liked
Mike? Is it Rei, Asuka, or Misato? Who's best girl?
Who's my favorite? Who's the quest girl?
Who's quest girl?
I mean, probably Rei. I mean, I do like to make disgusting like memes now and stuff like that since that time, or make fun of Shinji. It was more just like eye-opening, I guess. I can't believe there's still an audience. Like, I get that's like, that show is considered like a bubble. Like, it was a work of art. The dude made his thing and then it was done. But they keep, I can't imagine. So they did 4 movies and now, was it just this month? He released 2 more movies that do the exact same thing again. Like, because there's a huge, they put up the big, the Lance of whatever.
Lance of Longinus.
Yeah, there's Staff of Longinus or whatever. There's a huge, like, art piece in Japan right now because he released the movies about the show again. I can't imagine like remaking a thing over and over is such a cultural staple over there, but apparently it is. So now I have to watch 2 more movies. I don't know.
You know what it is? I mean, it's very easy to explain to a Westerner, like the concept of what Evangelion means to Japanese people. It's their Star Wars.
I mean, that makes sense. I could see that.
Yeah, it's basically one for one. I mean, like, it's just they feel about Evangelion the way that we feel about Star Wars. If you play the Imperial March on a trumpet, people are going to be like, ah, ha, ha. If you play the Evangelion theme on a trumpet over there, people are going to be like, yeah.
So End of Evangelion I watched, and then I tried to watch, I don't remember what the other one was.
Rebuild.
But the End of Evangelion was good because it was like a visual representation of what ended up being, that mess at the end of the original series where it was just like that, like Shinji's internal headspace or whatever, and it was really abstract. And the movie was way better at like explaining what the reassimilation and all the stuff that was going on. At least there was pictures for a simpleton like me. The second movie I watched, I don't remember which one it was, but it looked like it went back and tried to do like the themes over again from earlier. And I was like, no, you know what? I don't need to see 15-year-old ejaculating on a chick as the world's ending. I'm probably good with what I've seen so far, so I just stopped.
Have you done a I'm so fucked up of Brian yet?
No, I haven't, not yet.
That'll be one of your best works. People will love that. They'll eat that up.
We'll see.
Yeah, the movies, after the show, what you're referring to is what is called like the Rebuild, and it's basically the like Star Wars prequels of Evangelion. They made 4 movies. In kind of the same way that Star Wars made those like 3 movies. And they kind of start off retelling Evangelion from the beginning. And then they get to about the halfway point, then they diverge entirely. And then it just kind of becomes its own new thing.
Oh God, you're explaining Evangelion.
Yeah, he watched Evangelion last month.
Yeah. Okay.
I asked him if he liked anime, and his answer was that he watched Trigun and Evangelion, basically.
That's fair enough. I like anime in a general sense, but I don't like anime just in general.
Yeah, you like things, Eric.
I like some things that are anime, but anime...
I like stuff,
yeah. Like Cowboy Bebop, Trigun.
Eric's not like me. Eric likes things. Eric will watch a thing and then I'll be like, how good was it, Eric? And he'll be like, it was good. It was very good. I liked it. And I'll be like, that was dog shit, Eric. And he'll be like, yeah, well, I liked it. All right. I thought it was great. I loved it.
I haven't seen a Marvel project that was anywhere lower than a 6.
I'm a serial liker as well, so I probably relate to Eric more. So I try to go out of my way to not say negative things about. That's like one of my core principles. Is it's really hard for me to say a negative thing about a video game, especially a Nintendo 64 video game, because the system isn't like it's not as loved as it was when I was a kid. Like, there's a lot of people who are like, it was the beginning of the end. You know, that was when third parties abandoned Nintendo, and go back and look at those graphics. Look at those polygons. Look at that. You know.
Oh, those polygons are beautiful. I love that era. PlayStation 1, N64, when 3D was first starting out.
And I do too, but that's not the consensus anymore. So.
Really, is it not? Fucking Wave Race and shit, so pretty, dude.
Tekken 1, 2, and 3. Watching the graphics watching them figure out how to fucking use polygons in real time. It's so amazing. Oh, and let's not forget the FMVs.
Well, I can forget about them because they didn't exist on N64 minus Wheel of Fortune.
Ah, yes. That was the whole thing with the discs. Is discs were some of the only things that were big enough to run FMVs.
It's true.
And that's when you had the Sega CD and there was something else. What was that horrific add-on?
What was the one that was going to be the CD add-on for the N64, Mike? I'm sure you know.
Oh, the DD, the N64 DD. That was a hard disk drive, though, not a CD add-on.
Wait, it was a hard disk drive?
Yeah, it looked like a floppy disk, but like 3/4 of an inch thick.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Huh. So what was the idea there? They were going to use a hard disk drive to, were they going to put games on hard disk?
Yeah, there was 8 games. There was a two Doshin the Giant games that came out for that. There was F-Zero got an expansion pack.
Oh, okay.
So you had F-Zero X and you had the expansion, then you could build your own tracks and customize your own vehicles.
Yeah, GX, right?
No, just F-Zero X DD. It was before GX.
Okay.
You could do everything you could do in F-Zero X, but you could customize it.
Wait, GX is the GameCube one, isn't it?
Yep, that's the GameCube one, correct. And then there was Mario Studio. So the DD also had a broadband adapter, the RadNet adapter, so you could go online with it and stuff and play golf, or you could take videos with your video camera. It had component inputs to it, so you could take a video with your video camera, and then you could play with it like Mario Paint, and then you could send it to your friends. And
oh man,
it failed within 6 months.
Remember the Wild West that was video game peripherals in the 90s and stuff? All the the Game Boy cameras and shit like what he's talking about right here. These weird fucking add-ons. They're amazing.
I've got a big pile of them right around the corner.
Oh, there's the printer too. There was a printer I remember that you could get that went onto your Game Boy, I think. And probably also there was something that had connectivity with the N64, I'm imagining.
It was receipt paper, wasn't it? It printed onto receipt paper?
It was. So Mission Impossible, you could print out, if you had the N64 game of Mission Impossible, you could connect it to your Game Boy with the Game Boy Color version of Mission Impossible, and you could print out one of the mission brief codec things with your Game Boy printer and have a physical mission brief.
Oh man,
there was just stupid stuff like that nobody would ever do, but it still existed.
That's amazing.
And we used to think it was so cool if we actually got it when we were a kid, and they would follow all the stupid directions just to get one tiny little thing from it, and we were just like, this is the coolest thing ever.
It's the best. Nobody else has this.
Welcome back to the AnythingCast. I'm Patrick.
I'm Eric.
And we've got with us today, again, Mike. Thank you, Mike, for coming on to the show again. For you, it's been a few minutes. For everyone else, it's been a week. How are you doing, Mike? What's changed?
I'm still doing good, surprisingly. My mood has changed. Other than that, not much, I guess.
Yeah, we're bad about bringing down the mood. We're very depressing podcast.
Yeah, this is the most depressing podcast you'll ever listen to. Eric tried to kill a man over a fish once.
Yeah, I've heard that. I heard that on a different podcast.
Yeah.
Mike's the kind of man that gets on podcasts with people who kill people over fish.
I was actually on a podcast. I won't say the name of it, but it was a German podcast, and they thought that I was some sort of caricature or something, or that I was a stand-up comedian. So when we had this whole talk about Quest 64, and I wasn't the Quest 64 guy, I guess I wasn't playing it up enough. We went through a whole hour episode, and then they decided to tell me afterwards, they're like, we didn't really like that, so we're not going to use any of that. And then they never contacted me again.
Son of a bitch.
And I'm like, oh yeah, so I can bring down the mood too.
Yeah. I guess I should say, since we're recording a new episode, Mike is what is your handle on Twitter? Is it @Quest64official?
Correct.
Yeah. So Mike is the Quest 64 guy on Twitter. Did we even say that in the first episode, or we just go straight into
don't think we ever addressed that. No, I mean, he did talk about being quite the meme smith of sorts, but
it's not really important.
I don't know. I just found the entire conversation fascinating. I'm surprised those lame Germans didn't fucking use the content.
Yeah, seriously, fuck those Germans. Fuck the Germans.
I thought we were having a good time. They didn't at all think the same thing, and I thought so. They also didn't want. I'm glad you guys are using my name and you're not weird about it. I told them at the time I was still trying to like separate Mike from the Quest guy. So I was like, hey, can you just call me like Quest guy, or can you just call me like Quest 60? Just call me my Twitter handle. And they're like, no. And they were not joking about it whatsoever. They're like, no, what's your name? I'm like, all right, well, it's Mike then. Nice to meet you. It all went downhill from there, I guess.
Yeah, I'll just call you whatever the fuck you want to be called. I don't know why that has to be a thing.
Yeah, what's with the Germans? Why are they doing this? Why are they abusing Mike?
They didn't like Quest. They wanted me to say Holy Magic Century all the time. They wanted me to use the long name, Aaron only. I don't. I'm just making shit.
I was going to ask, do you have like some religious affiliation that the Germans are known for disliking? Is it I could think of a few things the Germans are historically known for not liking very much. It might have had something to do with that. I don't know.
Well, yeah, imagine nowadays they've been kind of more quiet about that.
Well, I didn't openly present myself as anything they wouldn't like other than Quest. I'm usually pretty good about just being Quest.
Wait, not really projecting much else about your life on the internet, you know.
They thought you were a comedian. They thought you were like a stand-up comedian.
I'm under the impression that they thought it was like that the whole thing was an act, and that I didn't like Quest, and that I was there to like make fun of it. And then when I started like doing the thing like in our previous episode where I'm like, no, here's the history, and then I gave them like 3.5 minutes, they just were kind of silent for a moment, and then they just went on with more questions, and I'm like, oh, cool, this is how it's gonna go. I can play with. And so then I did the other thing. I'm like, oh well, let's make fun of PlayStation a little bit, and I'll be your dancing monkey for the next 15 minutes. And I thought it was fine, and they didn't think it was fun.
Jesus Christ. What is it? I don't know. That's
seems rude.
Have they said a word to you since?
No, but I haven't also contacted him like, hey, you gonna use any of that audio? You want to send that to me?
Literally, my whole thing was I saw the Quest 64 Twitter, and I was like, what have I got to do to talk to the Quest 64 guy? I don't care about talking to him about Quest 64. Whatever he wants to talk about, I want to listen to. It's the guy doing the Quest 64 Twitter. You're an interesting enough individual alone by that, if you ask me. I don't know why they would want you to be a comedian.
I'm sure it was just like a difference of opinion, and that's why I don't hold any grudge against it. They're like, there's no point in being upset about wasting time. I waste hours of every day doing stuff. So to come on and sit on a show, now I'm wasting another 2 hours right now. I'm never going to get any of this Quest time back at the end of my life,
How much value can you truly get out of Quest 64? I will tell you, this man has gotten more value out of Quest 64 than any other human being on the face of the earth.
You're going to Quest 64 Valhalla after you die. I hope you know.
I hope that exists.
Brian will bless you.
There's not a lot of prospects for me afterwards.
Was it like instead of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, it's Brian, Aaron, and whatever his name is in Japanese?
Yeah.
It's just 3 of the Brian character up there.
Yeah, all waiting for me. And they look exactly the same because there's no graphical difference.
Right, exactly. No variation whatsoever. They just have different names.
I imagine them standing there with the stick. They're all making the exact same face. It's just that one PNG
they all
of Brian.
Just like put their staffs down in like reverence to you. He was the prophet. He understood.
We were waiting for you, Mike. That's disappointing for you guys. I'm sorry. This is it.
It's like, oh, wow. The rest of Earth is screwed. I gotta admit, you guys did a terrible job of telling everyone that you guys are the actual one true God. You guys should have been way more specific. I basically caught on to it accidentally as a joke. I thought it was funny, and I sincerely enjoyed the game for years.
I was doing my best. Like, I hope you liked it.
That's actually not a bad question. If there was out of all the video games that you guys know, what's a video game that you would want Heaven to be based on? Like, you die, you wake up in a video game. Which one would you want it to be?
I don't know. A lot of video games I like are...
Yeah,
the
not the
worlds
happiest.
Are not places that would be comfortable to live in real life.
You don't want to live in Legacy of Kain?
No! I love Legacy of Kain, but absolutely not. That place is a nightmarish hellscape.
I mean, so as a mailman, I always say that I wish my superpower was being able to talk to animals, because there's so many times where I like get within like 2 feet of a squirrel. I'm like, hey man, I'm just walking by. You don't got to run away. It's cool. I'm just going to keep going. And then they like perk up and then they bolt off. I'm like, well, that wasn't the conversation we just had. So I guess for me, maybe like Animal Crossing, that'd be kind of fun. Like at least I get to talk to animals all day, every day.
Ooh.
Okay, yeah, that would be, at the very least, that would be a comfortable place to live, just in a general sense.
Yeah, I'd be in debt for the afterlife as well as my regular life, but I mean, at least I'd be working towards something, right?
Animal Crossing would be a peaceful life. Fine with that. Just go fishing, chill. I mean, I don't think any of my more violent tendencies would be resolved.
I'm gonna go with The Sims.
That's just what we're doing now. Just a poor facsimile of leading a real life.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing already. So
I mean, it's
just
fun,
more
I
of this,
guess.
please.
I don't like Sims particularly, but I get why other people do. You know.
Realistically, did you ever play Ragnarok online?
No, I had some people try and get me into it, but I was completely like, nah, I'm just gonna go play
I
World of
really want
Warcraft
Heaven to just be Ragnarok Online. I want to hang out in Ragnarok Online world. Just like Sword Art Online ass situation where I can't take my fucking dive helmet off and I'm stuck in here and can't log out.
See, okay, I wouldn't necessarily mind living in an RPG that still went by like RPG rules, like as long as I didn't like actually die.
Yeah.
Like if I was still living by the rules of the video game, okay, that's a little different because now it's not quite as scary.
Yeah, you don't want to get cut with a sword. I understand.
Yeah,
You
like
don't
if I
wanna get
lived in
stabbed.
one of the Final Fantasy worlds, but I was like this magic overpowered character person, then that would be kind of okay, I guess.
What would it be like living in Quest 64 as heaven, Mike? Would it be a good? Would that be a good heaven?
I mean, it's pretty peaceful. I think one of the themes you wanted to talk about was how I thought it was like a socialist utopia. Nothing costs anything. So
Are you a socialist, Mike?
is this the part where you're going to cut me off no matter what I say?
Yeah, that was going to be. Yeah, that's what I was going to do. Yeah.
You can espouse extremist political comments if you want to. I don't know if this is the platform you wanted to do that on.
We can get rid of your listening audience real fast if I talk about like how many billionaires I want to barbecue in my backyard from my neighbors.
We had a joke on the most recent recording session where what was it that everybody on the podcast holds like extremist different views, that I was a monarchist or something. We just kept running with the joke that I was a monarchist and Will was a libertarian and you were something.
I thought I was a libertarian.
You were a libertarian and Will was like a communist.
Because I live in the woods with 5 dogs, so it's like, okay, I guess he's the closest to a libertarian. And then we chose you to be a monarchist for some reason. I don't remember what Will was.
Yeah.
Was Will straight capitalist, maybe?
No, Will hates capitalists. He used to be a straight capitalist. This is a really boring thing to talk about with Mike here, but Will, our co-host, used to be like a capitalist, and he believed that the world was a meritocracy, where like if you do well in the world and you give everything to the world, then the world will give evenly back to you. And then
kind of true.
Well, when he grew up and found out that that wasn't exactly true after he got out of college, he fell into a deep depression.
Oh.
And then has not really dug himself out of that yet. Now he works at a, he works at a factory, and his college degree went to nothing. And I can understand why he's upset with that situation.
Yeah, it's like the real world-itis, where you figure out that the colors black and white are basically a lie, and everything's just light or dark gray somehow, and nothing's super duper clear at any point. And then there's the internet and misinformation and isolation and all the other societal problems that we don't have the time or expertise to go into.
What'd
you major in college, Mike? Did you major in Quest 64?
So I didn't finish college, but I was going for landscape architecture.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. What is landscape architecture?
Well, like when you have like a big like building, like a corporation, and they want to put pretty plants out front, you can't just like put them there. You have to have like an architectural drawing for your cement and your plants and all the stuff that goes around it, because it's got to grow like, a bush grows a certain size. You don't want it to be in the boss's parking spot, and another bush doesn't, holds irrigation well, so it keeps all the water from dumping into the manager's parking spot, and everything's about the manager's parking spot essentially.
Why the fuck would you want to get a degree in that, dude? Why?
I know.
Why?
I was gonna say, I know the people down here don't give half a fuck about anything, like, because they put bushes right on the edges, right near stop signs and shit, and I can't see. It's like I have to creep way past the stop sign just to be able to safely go.
That's because I dropped out of college.
Yeah,
you ruined my life, Mike.
Well, you have to get a degree in like horticulture because you have to understand plants, and then you have to get a minor in mathematics and drawing, like, you know, mathematical drawing, because you have to be able to do those all perfectly to scale. And yep,
that actually makes sense.
Why did I want to do it? I don't know. Why am I doing quest stuff now? I just let my life just guide me where I'm going. So
hey man, I majored in theater and I'm living the happy life now. Like, you know, I mean, I did get an associate's degree at a community college, so I can at least say that I'm like a college graduate.
Yeah.
But really, I just have a really firm basic education. And then I tried to take a whole bunch of specialized theater classes and then, you know, freaked out and dropped out like everybody else does.
Can I interest you in civil service work? Because it's almost Christmas, and I won't say what profession could use more people, but there's packages to be delivered that I would be very interested in having you do it for me.
Well, I used to do service industry shit, but nowadays I work at the animal shelter, and I'll freely admit that 90% of my job is scraping shit off of various things, but now I do it for a moral and ethical purpose that doesn't, like, leave me depressed at the end of the day anymore. And I make more than I ever did slinging popcorn and the like, so it's basically
Mike, have you ever
worked
worked
out
at a
for me a
theater?
lot.
Have you ever worked at a movie theater, Mike?
No, but I worked at Hollywood Video, which is pretty close, right?
Ooh, it's
definitely in the ballpark,
it's
for
definitely
sure.
in the ballpark.
I would say so. It's on the line.
It was popcorn, or something that we called popcorn.
We're a podcast of two people who used to work at a movie theater, so a lot of
and we both used to do theater together.
And we both used to do theater together. And honestly, our lives revolved around theater at some point, and then it became this because, of course, it did. Because my life spiraled out of control.
And we live in Mississippi, and you know, there's just so many acting opportunities and jobs you can live off of in the grand state of Mississippi. You know, we're basically the new Hollywood.
Yeah, absolutely.
Except a little less
Spider-Man
rapey.
here.
A little less rapey.
Not any less rapey. Not any less. It just the different people are getting raped now. It's not any less rapey.
Fair enough, I suppose.
What's the worst part about living in Wisconsin?
I mean, I guess it's probably a little more rapey than Minnesota. No, I'm just kidding.
I was going to say, is it the rapes? It could be the rapes.
You know, one day you feel like everything's great, and then the next day it's like 20 below and your doors are frozen and you're not allowed to leave the house. And so, I mean, I guess that's pretty bad. Other than that, like, the politics are pretty bad here now. I was going to get cut off if I go into that anymore. So, yeah.
You a socialist, Mike?
Yeah, you a socialist, Mike?
Lots of arguing, very little solutions. Yep. Of which we'll not say which ones in particular we support or do not support.
Did you? You told me to you told me to send you an episode of the podcast, and I was this close to sending you to the one to where we pretended to be in Gaza.
You could probably pull that shtick again right now with Israel. Do you want to do 10 minutes of that? It'd be really on the nose, right?
Yeah. I generally, I'm okay with people killing people, but I think they shouldn't most of the time.
Yeah.
Like, that's like, it's fine. It happens.
How American of you, Eric.
Life is sacred until it's not.
It's better if one very correct group of people leaves that land and the other one, which is also not as correct, stays.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Right now,
Mike, you would have done great on that episode. That's exactly what that episode was.
Yeah, that was the theme of the whole episode. It was there were a couple of moments where I had to stop and regain my composure, but I was able to keep it on the level.
So was Hollywood Video what you did before you were a mailman and a Twitter connoisseur?
No, I worked a lot of retail. So Hollywood Video was just in line between retail jobs. It was just another retail job. I did middle management at retail, like grocery stores, for forever, like 15 years.
You got any horror stories?
I mean, it's just what you would imagine. People like using bathrooms like the whole bathroom is the bathroom, or
God,
things like that. But
yeah, having worked at theaters and like, it's like some people, I swear, They look at the toilet and there's like, I got this. And then they pull down their pants, press their ass directly against the wall, and just fire away.
Yeah.
And I don't know how else it could possibly happen sometimes, because I'm like, what in God's name happened in here? I've seen dog kennels that were covered in shit less thoroughly than this. Like, what is this? But yeah, no, I firmly agree with Mike there.
I'm trying to think of any like horror stories, because I worked retail too. I'm trying to think of any particular horror stories that we had working in retail.
I can think of a lot of bad experiences. None of them were particularly entertaining to recount.
Oh, dude, I had one working in retail one time where I was working at a clothing store, and my entire job was stocking the clothing store, basically. I worked in the back room, and I folded clothes, and then when I was done folding the clothes, I'd bring them out front, and then I'd hang them up on giant hangers, right? So some lady comes into the store, and she stands out immediately because she can't walk. She's grabbing onto everything to like help her to walk, and we're like, is she handicapped? Is she drunk?
Is she
yeah,
high? Is
she was
having
drunk.
A medical problem.
She was
right
on
now?
the phone and she's talking as loud as she physically can while crying her eyes out and screaming in the
Oh boy.
in the store, and she's screaming so loud that like other customers are leaving. And it's about 8:00. We close at 9. And she's just sitting here crying on the phone, looking through clothes, going and trying clothes on. Sometimes not even in the room that you try clothes on in.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, we're just like, all right, whatever.
As one does. Yep.
Yeah, as one does. At one point, she pulls out what do you call it? A handle? What is the little bottle of alcohol that you can fit in your purse?
I was about to say a handle would be like
is that?
a half gallon. This is a pint.
Yeah, she pulls a pint of vodka out of her purse, and then she starts drinking, nursing the pint while still talking on the phone. Yeah, just like that, Eric. Just like that.
Yeah.
So we're like, oh, she's drunk, of course. 9:00 rolls around, and she's still just drinking in the store and trying on clothes in the middle of the aisles and screaming and crying on the phone with who I'm guessing is her friend. She's talking about like some man mistreated her. Because of course he did.
I probably could have guessed that
at
this point. Yes.
We're closing and everything, and everybody's trying to leave. We're doing all the stuff that you do, because when you work retail, you don't close like right at 9. Mm-hmm. You close the doors at 9, and then you clean up for an hour, then you leave.
Right, and you don't get paid nearly enough to directly confront that lady. So you guys were all just hoping she would drunkenly stumble out.
Yes.
And I'm guessing she did not.
Eventually, this woman is the last person in the entire store. She's the only woman there, and we don't know what to do. So we go to our manager, and we're like, that lady has been here for about an hour and a half now. She's drunk out of her mind, and she seemingly is just not leaving. She doesn't know what's going on. She's so drunk, she doesn't know what's going on at all. And my manager's like, I'll take care of it. Okay. So we go and do our work. We come back out. The lights are all off in the store. And you can't see anything because it's dark outside. It's dark in the store now. The woman has taken her cell phone, and she is now talking on speakerphone and has turned the flashlight on her phone and is trying on clothes by flashlight. And she's still not leaving.
Like, she's doing it on purpose now.
She has to be.
You know,
she has to be, right?
Even, no matter how drunk she is, she does know that the store is closing and that she's being a bitch.
Absolutely. She must. Either that or she's so drunk she doesn't even realize where she is.
I would still say that's her fault then. Yeah. And at that point, it's just like, nope.
So my manager, about after 5 minutes of that, my manager's like, I'll go just talk to her. So my manager goes up to her, and my manager's a tiny lady. So I was like, if this woman gets violent, I don't want it to like turn into a whole thing. So I'm like, all right, I go up there with my manager, and I just stand behind my manager. And my manager's like, excuse me, man, we're closed. You're going to have to leave and what have you. And the woman just turns around and spits on my manager's face.
Wow.
just goes, fuck you, bitch. And then just goes back to trying on clothes. So, as you can probably imagine what we had to do from that point.
Drag her ass out?
Yeah, my $7.25 an hour ass is going to drag this woman out of a store.
Oh, you called the police?
Absolutely. And then the police dragged her ass out.
Well, to be fair, they are getting paid better than you.
Sure. Anybody want to guess how they dragged the woman out of the store?
Judging from how belligerent she was being, I'm guessing possibly by her feet.
That is correct.
Ha!
That is
Got
it. That is correct. They dragged her ass out of the store on her back, and she's still talking on the phone to this woman and screaming about how the police have shown up and are harassing her.
Well, that's the only way you can really be sure, because otherwise, if you have your legs in some capacity, you can slow down the dragging. You can't allow
Absolutely.
that. You got to take the legs out.
She did that thing that drunk people do when they're getting arrested, where she like went limp and it was like dead weight.
I had a friend's dad who figured out the solution to that and pissed me off.
What's that?
The solution is when your kid's being a fucking little asshole like that, and they want to try to do that, just grab their hair.
Oh.
You can either stand up or scalp yourself. Either way, it's your fault.
Oh, yeah.
Like, just grab their hair. I know that, Mississippi, abuse your children. But,
yeah, you got any child abuse stories,
grab
Mike?
them by the hair and be like, okay, if you struggle, you hurt yourself.
Not yet, but now you're giving me ideas. So.
What kind of a home life led to the Quest 64 Twitter?
A pretty good one. I have kids. I have 3 kids.
Oh, well.
So, I mean,
Oh my God, Mike, congratulations.
Actually, I think one of them graduated, if I'm not too mistaken. I was scrolling through the Twitter, again, a second ago. Didn't one graduate from high school or something?
Yep, I have an 18-year-old. She graduated this last year. So through Quest, all things are possible. They don't care about Quest at all. So they like video games.
What? Zoomers don't care about Quest 64. Shock and awe.
But yeah, we play a lot of video games, but not most of my video game time now. I've really had to divert and do co-op current gen games. My middle child likes to play Minecraft and Roblox, like every kid does,
Yeah.
and my youngest likes to play. We just played through Kirby and the Forgotten Lands, and we played through Mario Odyssey and a bunch of other first part, any game where you could play co-op on Switch, we've played through it. And
hell yeah.
I'm trying to nurture that, because I'm gonna build them up into an unstoppable force of video game knowledge, which is then gonna get all this Quest 64 stuff dumped on them. Look, I'm not gonna make it another 5 years. You got to do this for at least another 40.
Daddy's liver is giving out.
Yep.
Daddy needs his whole handle of vodka every day, and he's not going to stop today, so.
Yeah. Over here on the wall is my manifesto. I need you to memorize this, and then you need to take it.
The Quest 64 manifesto. We're part of history right now.
That's right. It's true. It's true. We're making history.
Just ignore all of this stuff on the wall.
So is your daughter planning to drop out of college too, or
or even go in this current environment? So many colleges are scammy these days.
No, she's smart. She is not so far going. She was going to be a teacher, and she's decided that no, that's not going to happen. She's just working right now, trying to figure out what she's going to do with her life, until I once again dump the Quest on her and turn her off into Callands.
Eventually, Quest
the
64.
successor.
Yeah, eventually Quest 64 is going to start making you a lot of money, and you're just going to end up dumping that on your children.
Yep.
Yeah.
You made billions with Quest 64.
The cookbook sold so well.
Being realistic here.
The
Let's
cookbook
be
sold
realistic.
billions.
The third richest.
Yes,
He's not going to be the first richest
Yeah.
on Quest 64. Let's not be
Well,
silly.
but if I eat 4 of the other 5 billionaires, on live TV, I can slowly climb the ladder just by killing and eating people. So
now we knew what the real quest was.
it was the billionaires we ate along the way.
He had to consume the hearts of 64 billionaires, and then he became
the Quest
the Quest 64.
It's a strange thing for even the topic of what we leave our children. And in the case of you, you're joking, but at some point in your children's lives, retro video games will be left to them.
Oh yeah.
and that'll be like an inheritance.
Yeah, well, it might even be worth something to some degree.
At one point, my wife and I were considering a video game store. So before I said we have a really good culture of those here, there was openings for us to do that. And we had bought some stuff. I probably still have 4,000 or 5,000 like physical video games, and then buckets of manuals and strategy guides and merchandise. And we have a basement full of like video games. I'm at a point where I don't know what I'm doing with that.
That's legit.
I've got a wall full of it, so I understand. I mean, my wife and I also collect video games.
Yeah, I've got a decent cabinet full or so.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't dedicate myself to just collecting video games. I've got all the ones from my childhood for the most part.
Yeah, I've really cut back as well.
I have like a sword collection.
Yeah, you do. You have
and
a sword
I have
collection.
a gun collection too. So, those are also expensive.
So Mississippi of you.
Yeah, well.
You're in the right state, Eric. I just have to say.
Fair.
Either this or Texas. You got two options.
Yeah, I'm not a very political person and whatnot, but, I do like guns.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie. I like...
You a socialist, Eric?
No, not really.
Okay, well, that's all
More
I needed
of
to
a
know.
centrist, if we're being completely honest, just because I don't really have a lot of views that align with any one setup.
Oh, about what I was saying about like what our parents leave us. Like I said, realistically, at some point, your children will be left a lot of retro video games.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a topic we've ever talked about on the podcast. What did our parents leave us? Like, what did our parents want us to inherit? Me personally, my father founded a church and wanted me to take over the reins of the church. My father thought that if he made a church, that I would take it over, and that would be, his gift to me.
You're not even really firmly of that religion, though,
I'm not even firmly religious in any capacity whatsoever. Yep. And I feel like that must have been such a great blow to him. And because, I mean, like, now what is he going to do with the church? What's he going to do?
I don't know, let one of the other followers take it
Probably.
over?
Yeah. Probably,
I mean,
realistically.
Not the most unpopular religion in the world.
No.
I mean, would you care if I just said it? It's just,
yeah, I would, because
there's been other people tried to dox you before.
Yeah.
Anyway,
there's one of them within 100 miles. I mean,
it's not a particularly crazy denomination.
Yeah.
Like it's not like Pentecostal or something. Like,
it's just a very specific religion.
That's what I would say if I didn't want people to know what denomination I was.
This is Mississippi. There's plenty of other denominations. Eliminating one will not make it easy for them to figure out what church
Muslim.
It is.
That's
we're just waiting for all the other denominations to leave.
So what did your parents leave you, Eric? What do you think your father's bequeathment is? That's a cool word, isn't it? Bequeathment.
To be completely honest, probably some guns, to be honest. I'm not gonna lie. Like, my dad is the one who inspired that, in me, going down to the shooting range, trying old guns. Like, he would show me old guns from World War II, and I got to fire pieces of history, real 1943 Mosin Nagant and M1 Garand and stuff like that. And I was like, this is really cool. And he inspired a love of the hobby. And I don't really hunt. I just target shoot for the most part. I mean, I kill snakes on the property every now and again. I
thought it would be the sex toy collection.
No, I don't think my dad's ever showed me his sex toy collection, or I'm not sure that he even has one.
I'll okay.
But if he does, I will inherit it, and I will learn a lot about him afterwards.
Learn a lot of his touches and his smells.
Yeah.
You think back to your childhood and you're like, you know what? That's making a lot more sense now.
Hey, your dad's the dad who was a priest.
Yeah. What about you? What about you, Mike? What did your parents leave you?
Well, my dad was an aeronautics instructor.
Fuck yeah.
And so when we moved from the country to the city, so I, like many people do.
Like the old country, like Romania?
Yeah.
Can't you tell from his accent?
Yeah.
Yeah, when we moved from East Europe to Wisconsin, as all East Europeans do.
Of course. That's where they all concentrate.
Yes. That's where they're all
nothing but jogging suits and off-brand sneakers.
That's one of those multiple layer jokes because all of Wisconsin is Irish and Polish immigrants. So I mean, it is there, but I mean, no. we moved into so I live in Oshkosh in Wisconsin, which hosts the EAA, which is the Experimental Aircraft Association. It's the biggest. They have the fly-in every year.
Huh.
It's the world's largest conglomeration of private pilots. So there's like 10, 15, 20,000 planes that fly in for 1 week, and everybody just parks their planes in the city and turns the whole city upside down with their airplane horse shit. To be perfectly honest,
Yeah. My grandfather's a pilot. I wonder if he's ever been up there.
If he's ever owned his own plane, I guarantee he's been here at least once.
Yeah, he owned a Cessna. I think he still does.
That's one of the popular ones, the single engine Cessna or whatever.
I guarantee he knows what EAA is then, or there. So we have an airfield in the city that doesn't the population here is less than 100,000. So we don't need our own airport and airfield or anything like that. But we have one. It's huge. It's half of the city just for that. Essentially, there's a museum just for airplanes. Yeah, he not just the legacy of that, but he brought, when we moved from where we lived into town, he brought like engine blocks and stuff he was working on with him, because I'm going to build an airplane, right? Just from scratch when he dies. There's going to be enough parts, but I'll just take care of that. I won't scrap it. I promise.
Do you know anything about how to build an airplane?
No, absolutely nothing. That's part of the untalented legacy.
I want to believe your dad's thought process on was my son's going to deliver mail from an airplane. I'm going to leave him all the parts, and then he's going to deliver mail through by air.
To be fair, there's plenty of money in that. That's not a bad career path.
I mean, if you do drugs, sure.
Well, that's the very lucrative career path if you're doing it that way. It's kind of a risk-reward thing, but, I mean, sure.
I don't think... So my parents... You smoke. My parents smoked Marlboros growing up. Me growing up, not them, also them, but mostly me. But they were, even back then, they were expensive in the States. And because my dad was who he was and traded favors because you have to have your airplane, it has to be inspected every year and certified so you can fly it.
You about to tell me your dad was in the airplane mob?
Sort of. So twice a year he would have somebody fly from the Philippines in with an airplane full of South Asian Marlboro Reds that he would pay like $3 a carton for, and then that was what he smoked all year long was Marlboro Reds from Asia, because otherwise it was, at the time it was like $40-$50 a carton here, but he was getting them for a fifth of that price. So.
I hate to break it to you, Mike, but your dad was bringing in a little bit more than Marlboro Red cartons.
Well, I know he was.
Yeah.
But that was the Marlboro Reds was the currency that you use to pay for other things. So
yeah, I've been to prison, Mike. I understand. I remember paying with Marlboro Reds for certain things.
Yep. Now that I think about it, my mom said that back in the 80s or something, she lived in South California, and they would occasionally drive across the border down there to buy cigarettes. And now I realize how silly that is, and that they probably weren't just buying cigarettes.
Probably not.
I mean, I get that the cigarettes were 10 times cheaper over there, and it does make sense.
Yeah, and there were also cigarettes, and that's what we talk about is the cigarettes.
It's he actually did have cigarettes. I mean, he did not buy those. There's just other things I may or may not have mentioned.
When I was growing up in Mississippi, there were still a lot of dry counties. And until I was 18, maybe 20, actually, a lot of counties, even the county that I'm in right now, was a dry county. And we would have to drive across county lines to buy alcohol with fake IDs because, but they knew too. It's such a ridiculous concept that they were highly aware that was what people were doing, and that was why the gas stations were there. They would call them county line gas stations. It would be called blank county line gas station.
Yep.
Basically, just a big sign that says "Come break the law here."
Yeah,
we had that here too.
The counties that aren't dry, that do have liquor stores and beer and stuff like that, which you can't buy beer and liquor in the same store here.
No.
That's for some reason illegal. It has to be separate. Never understood that one. Makes no sense. You can have a beer store and a liquor store in the same building, but they can't have a door between them that connects them. You have to walk all the way out of one and all the way into the other one separately.
Yeah.
Even if it's the same owner, same employees, same everything.
So here we have the Wisconsin Tavern League, and they pretty much run everything in the state. So all the states around us, Michigan and Illinois and Minnesota all have marijuana is legal there. But because of the Tavern League here and the amount of money that's funneled into alcoholism, marijuana isn't legal in Wisconsin. And since they run all the voting, it's essentially just a bootleg liquor mob that runs Wisconsin for the most part. And if it doesn't go through the Tavern League, it doesn't exist in ours. So we also have at 9:00 every night, grocery stores, which can sell anything, have to stop because you can only buy beer at the bar then.
Yeah.
And that's just about everywhere. There are some counties where you can buy beer till midnight, but not liquor and all these other stupid rules because it's only profitable if you get drunk and drive home drunk. And that's
right.
Our police system needs that.
Like, you can only have it if you're consuming it in the open. Like, what, why? Like,
how can the state police afford the tank that they need to stop drunk drivers if they don't catch drunk drivers? It doesn't make any sense. You have to drive drunk.
What about Sundays, Mike? Do you guys have the Sunday law there?
We have that asinine thing.
No, you can buy what it does. Sunday doesn't mean anything.
They only stop selling all alcohol on Sundays for some reason, or just liquor in some counties.
If you took away during COVID, when stores were closing, liquor stores were essential workers in Wisconsin.
Oh, fuck
liquor
yeah, they were.
Did not close.
Yeah. Oh, I think I single-handedly supported a local liquor store during the pandemic, and when everything opened up again, they fucking went under.
Really?
I'm not entirely sure, but I'm just like, am I the only reason they were still open that time?
Mike, what'd you do during COVID?
It was ridiculous.
I was a mailman.
Right. Yeah, that tracks.
Yeah, that tracks.
So I walked around with a mask in 95-degree Wisconsin weather, delivering mail that people stuck their tongue all over to get into the mailbox while I stared at it thinking I was going to die. And I actually had a hospital on my route, and it was terrible delivering mail to a hospital because everybody thought you were going to kill them, and you thought you were going to kill everybody. And
oh yeah,
sneezing and coughing was the worst thing you could possibly do. You were sent outside and washed off with a fire hose if you looked at somebody with snot on your face or anything. So.
Did you get it? Did you get COVID?
No, I haven't.
Oh,
nice. Lucky. Did you get it, Eric?
I've had it twice.
I've had it once.
It's it wasn't nearly as bad the second time. I did, hot take. I did actually get the vaccination.
Oh my God!
I'm a crazy
Eric,
madman over here. But
Eric,
I did.
Are you a socialist?
I will say that the second time I got it later, I felt really bad for 2 or 3 days, and then it kind of just cleared up.
Yeah,
just like having a quick flu, honestly. So
yeah.
I mean, that's good. The only big thing for me is, even if it isn't a whole lot worse than a flu, the long gravel driveway I live down has a bunch of let's just say, if you take me and my wife and my brother out of the equation, the median age is 75 of the various other family members down there. So that was kind of scary.
Yeah, that's how my neighborhood is too.
Yeah.
It doesn't take a super serious disease. All it has to do is be super contagious, and I might accidentally kill Papaw. I can't do that. That's bad.
My dad only has one lung. That's why he's not in aeronautics anymore, because he had to have heart surgery, and they clipped his lung on the way out. So I could not get it, because if I got it, then there was a possibility of my father getting it, and if he got it, he was dead. So I was pretty careful for those months as a mailman of not going near anybody.
Did the aeronautics mob take your dad's lung to sell?
Yeah. They used it. They packed it full of cigarettes.
They said, "Nick it on the way out."
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was in one of the cartons.
Yeah, he had kind of a light load one time, and this guy named Victor Amigo came through, and they went back to the surgery thing, and
Would you ever sell one of your organs?
I mean, maybe. I guess. I'd have no plans on doing so, but I mean,
I would.
Let's say you
I'd
really
be more likely
need
to donate an organ to somebody to save them. Maybe
hold on, I want to hear Mike's answer. What, sure. Mike? Are you about to say that you would?
Well, I'm just saying, if I part of my kidney or something, if alcoholism is going to kill me, what's it matter? If I have a half or a whole liver or a half,
Nah, full organ, man. I'm talking they cut you a check, you give them one of your eyes. What's an organ you'd be willing to get rid of for $30,000?
$30,000. for 30K.
How bad would your situation have to be to sell a kidney?
I mean, for the right amount of money, it wouldn't have to be bad at all.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair.
Just catch me on a good day where
You can live with one of those motherfuckers. You're
Yeah.
all right. Like,
Mike says,
especially
get
if
me out
you're
of mail delivery and I'll sell a kidney. It's fine.
you'd
to
be
me.
surprised how much not having a kidney doesn't matter if you're a billionaire. Like, so if you offered me $1 billion for my kidney, I think I'll still be pretty comfortable afterwards, to be quite frank.
I think I'd give one of my eyes for $30,000.
Just $30K for
I think
an
that's
eye?
a little low.
Yeah,
I'd have to be talked up.
yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with Mike. That's
Well,
too low.
Losing depth perception would be hard.
I once said on
Yeah.
this podcast that I would kill a person for $8,000.
Oh, no.
And that has been a running theme.
Be honest with yourself. You said you would kill a child for $8,000. Me and we
Yeah.
slightly disagreed. We were more in the 100K minimum section there.
In my defense, Mike, the whole thing was they were discussing how much would I do it for if I did it for a career. If it was like you kill a person every day.
Oh yeah, you have to be an affordable hitman. You can't. Every job can't be 100,000.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Mike understands.
I mean, to be fair, in real life, hitmen do not make 100K.
Yeah, 8 is probably way closer.
Out of the I'd say 3% of hitmen actually make really, really good money, and most are just opportunist shitbags who were tossed a lot of money in the hand, but not a lot of money in general.
Mike knows his dad was in the aeronautics mob.
Yeah, how many times do you see unsolved mysteries and stuff like that? It was he was paid $500 to go start his gas tank on fire.
Yeah.
It's usually 10K or less. It really is.
Yeah, I found a guy on Craigslist that was willing to shoot him from long range with a bow and arrow as long as I didn't identify him to the police.
Yeah, $2,000.
Yeah.
Yep, $2,000. Yep.
I'm just saying, it seems reasonable if that's what my job is. $8,000 seems like a reasonable amount of money. That's what I'm making that week. I can live with that.
I mean, that does pay rent and whatnot.
Especially if it's 8K plus benefits, if they pass your card on to 3 more people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you're getting substantial business, if you can. It also depends on how long it's taking you to do this. If you're able to accept a job like that and you're such a professional that you could take a job Monday and then have it completely done by Wednesday, regardless of the job, then yeah, $8,000.
Well, I would say by the weekend. You should give at least a week.
Yeah,
But,
for sure.
That's what I'm thinking is if you can make $8,000 4 or 5 times a month, without running into any trouble as far as finding more work.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's a fuckload of money. That's a really good job. As long as you have absolutely no
I'm turning
ethics or
people
morals.
around to my $8,000 for killing a child scheme. I'm turning them around. It's finally coming to fruition. It's all making sense. Eric's admitting he would do
You just
it.
needed the right hype man to just talk it into it. Need a business team. We need a plan.
That's right. Do you think do hitmen put any money away for retirement?
You have to.
I mean, you gotta diversify your investments.
You have to. Yeah.
Yeah, you want to have multiple things out there because you don't want someone to find out that one account's blood money, shut it down, and then you want to have 5 other accounts that each have the 100K in them or something.
You can buy 1 or 200 copies of Quest 64 at $15 a pop.
So how many? That's a good question. How many copies of Quest 64 would you need to get to kill a man?
Well, I think probably 3 or 4 would do it. But I mean, it depends how you want it done.
All right, and that's the show, folks.
What a beautiful note to end on there. Mike, you have been a treat.
Yeah, you've been an absolute treat, Mike.
This was fun.
Thank you.
Fuck those Germans, man.
Yeah,
this guy's great. What the?
Mike, do you wanna plug your stuff?
I don't usually plug my stuff. My stuff is...
All right, well, fucking forget it then. This has been the Anything Cast. I'm Patrick. This is Eric. Thank you, Mike, for coming on the show. Thank you so much. You have been amazing. Thank you so much.
It was a great time. Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely.
And now, realistically, do you want to plug your stuff? It's fine if you do.
No.
No? Okay.
I do not plug it. I'm on a radio show, but I don't plug it because then I get to do other things on there if I don't talk about Quest.
Okay.
That makes
if
sense.
people don't follow me, that's better.
I don't
Okay.
plug the podcast at work, but we say some raunchy stuff, and I don't,
Yeah, the Gaza episode really made them turn their heads.
Yeah, no. Actually, I have told some of the people
Have
at
you?
work about it, but it's like some of the younger folks who don't mind, that kind of stuff.
I haven't told anybody at work that I have a podcast. They just know that I have the YouTube channel, and they've watched my YouTube channel, and they think the YouTube channel's great. And I'm like, good. Maybe they'll never see the podcast.
I mean, you do have the podcast connected to the channel.
There's one mail carrier in my office that knows about the Twitter account, and I don't talk about. Only the ones that shop in the stores know about Quest, but even then, they don't use Twitter. So, like, as long as I keep it the big Charlie Day like strings and mirrors and shit, like nobody really puts me together with Quest ever in the area, minus the people who know.
Yeah.
So that it's good for me to not plug things because it keeps it pure,
It's like even when I was doing theater and whatnot, I like entertaining people, making people happy, make people laugh or something like that. I'm also kind of a private person after the fact, though. I'm like, oh, yeah, no, fuck off. Leave me alone. I just want to go home.
Yeah.
I'm going to go have a beer, play with that new Pitbull puppy I got.
That being said, I'll make sure to plug this for you guys because obviously it's cool that you guys are doing this and enjoying this. It just won't be for me. So.
Thank you so much, sir. Much appreciated.
Yeah, I appreciate that. You don't have to do that. I mean, we just wanted to have you on because you seem like a cool dude.
I do it anyway. So I mean,
okay.
Well, all right.
And not at this point, whether you want it or not, unless you're going to delete all the audio and.